Good morning. We're going to get back to work with Dashkin. Let's see. Just cleaning up a little bit of my hard drive at the moment, but I'm going to get to actually doing work here in a second. Let's see, what have I got today? Today, the big thing that I'll be working on is this one-way platforms for my characters. So one-way platform is just going to be something like this, where we've got a platform. Your character lands on it, but they can actually fall through it, and then they can jump through it, and like all that sort of stuff. So I guess the first thing we got to do is we got to figure out how exactly we're going to do that. So let's figure it out. Let's pull up our level. So kind of what we want to do is we want to have a platform that we can possibly land on. And run along and everything like that. So it's going to have to behave exactly the same as everything else, except unless we don't want it to do so. Alright, so So one-way platforms. Alright, well, let's make a little area which would have one-way platforms. Good morning, Karakan. Getting back to work today. So let's see, what would a one-way platform area look like? Well, probably just like a bunch of sandwich layers. We're gonna need a little bit of Maybe I should make a little different area for this. Yeah, I just woke up not too long ago, so feeling pretty decent. See, we need this standard player. We're gonna drag it all the way over here. So a bunch of one-way platforms. How exactly are we gonna do that? I mean, it's kind of like we need a preset where it's or we want are these like overlap. Yeah, I think it's the overlap collision response, but we don't want to block. So let's see, we need to look at the collision responses. Alright, so overlap is Ignore. Regardless of collision response, this physics body will ignore the interaction. If the physics body is set to overlap or block this physics object type, an overlap event can occur. If the physics body is set to block this, a hit event can occur. Trace responses. So we need like the trace responses is what I'm thinking. And I'm wondering where exactly those are. Alright, so we need to perform a line trace. Yeah, so it's the glass is a destructible mesh which is set to trace response to visibility, and its collision settings is set to overlap. So I guess it's that what we need is collision response needs to be set to so we need visibility to overlap for stuff. That's what we need. So we need to be able to change the I mean, it's basically like we want a custom how many collision presets can we have? Because what I'd want here is like a terrain like a one-way terrain sort of thing. Let's see how many channels we've actually got to work with at the moment. So we have game trace channel 18. Let's see where that is in declaration. I think it's like engine types.h or something. Okay, so we have 1 through 18 game trace channels. And we literally have no extra channels for this. Great. It's because we have terrain, enemy passable terrain, environment body, player passable terrain. Everything here is just blah. So what we're going to have to do is we want to copy the bit field from this and basically have it so that we can set an object to one way. So we need like some sort of class, I guess, that we can a component on here that we can customize, which will customize the collision for us. Because if we don't have like basically I want to set this to custom collision and be able to do all this, but all these checkboxes are just ridiculous. Like, you know, none of these change the checkboxes. So I can say like set this to player hit, and then if I set it to custom afterwards, I guess it keeps all the checkboxes there. But I want to do something like that. That's kind of annoying. And I can't customize these things because these presets are just blah. I mean, can I change the collision presets? I mean, can we just go ahead and make a new one? Like, this will be like one-way terrain, and we want to copy the terrain one. Collision response, trace type, overlap. I can't just like copy this profile and make a new one based on it. This is just silly. Default engine.ini. Alright. Well, maybe it's easier to actually just edit the ini file directly. Well, let's see. This is a profile here. So we grab this guy, so this would be one-way terrain. Let's see, query in physics, object type is terrain, custom responses is environment hit, player attack, player projectile hit, player projectile attack, enemy hit, enemy attack, enemy projectile. I don't see anything with well, maybe if we add this to the INI file, we can boot it back up. Alright, so maybe if we just reload, this will pick up our one-way terrain. We've got terrain up there, so presets. One-way terrain is here. Yeah, this UI does not really work too well. So it looks like it was able to actually save it. So if we set basically our trace type to overlap here, hit accept. So we have this, yeah, channel visibility ECR overlap. Alright, so we can totally do this with one-way terrain. And so do we just need one-way terrain, or do we need like one-way everything for physics? Like one-way environment, one-way blah. I mean, we might as well just go ahead and make it, right? Alright, so one-way environment body, one-way terrain, one-way player body. One-way player projectile body. Let's see, one-way enemy body. Enemy projectile body. And then one-way enemy passable terrain and one-way player passable terrain. Alright, so let's close down the editor and reload that and see if we actually get everything we want. Alright, so let's go to those settings. And I really don't like that we are just, all these engines are pretty much set up for you to do all your settings inside the editor. It's just kind of eh. Alright, so one-way terrain is set up. We don't have environment body. What? Alright, yeah, we've got a bug in our file. Just because we edited it directly, it looked like there was an error with loading it, and it just didn't show the custom collision profile. Alright, so one-way environment, one-way terrain. Alright, good. Alright, environment hit, environment attack, one-way player body. So maybe it's the sweep. Yeah, let's say sweep responses, Unreal. Just reading stuff, trying to figure out exactly what I want. So one-way player body, one-way player projectile body. So maybe I need to change all this stuff to overlap instead of otherwise, but we'll actually need to check all these things. I'm just going to set everything to visible to start with. And if I'm wrong, well, I'll just fix it later. because supposedly these visibility things only affect the trace and not the sweep. So we'll just check it out. So this collision here, we should be able to say like one-way terrain. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's actually throw a different material on this thing just so it's a little bit different color. Adam has files locked, which he shouldn't have. That's annoying. I have to talk to him about making sure that if he's not going to be doing work, that he finishes up and unlocks files. Let's see, object materials. We should have a masked object, or this should be an opaque object. Alright, so what I think I want here is I want a one-way platform. Kind of like this. Yeah, good enough. It says there's an error, and and then there's no message. Nice. Good job, Unreal. So let's make just kind of a sandwich layer. Throw some walls on it. And we don't want these to, we want like this to, yeah, we'll reset this. And these will not be one-way terrain, this will be just terrain. So we basically made a giant bookshelf. Is somebody reminded of Unreal Tournament? I think so. Alright, so I'm wondering why we have this camera that goes from 0 all the way over. Like it should just be... We should just start right on this area. Alright, so we're going to have to take a look here. We'll have to look at the trace tag down to see exactly what's going on with the object, but let's make sure we got this saved and all that sort of stuff. Let's see, am I actually pulling stuff down? As Adam said, there's some new files or whatever, so I'm trying to make sure to snag them. Let's see. So I am receiving at least a little bit. So yeah, it'll be that map, I guess, is larger than. And then I don't know if we need the belt data to be checked in. I don't know. It's a question. We'll have to see how big those files actually are. Alright. Let's snag this, get a little bit lower, save that, and let's see exactly what we're running into with our trace tag straight down. So it should be in our movement object. We should be going into update locomotion ground. So locomotion on ground. You're initially stuck. Yeah, okay, we can do all these basic things. You're still stuck. I'm gonna take this out. Yeah, so we definitely have some stuff that we don't necessarily need. I guess Perforce is being super slow today. I don't know why that would be, but it is. Oh, it's just trying to do a whole bunch of random crap that it's having problems with. Yeah, it looks like it's just having trouble with writing to some files or something else. Perforce can be a real pain in the ass sometimes. But guess what, Perforce? I've had enough of your bullshit. We're gonna terminate you. Like, I think it's having trouble with just like some files that already exist or something else, but I don't know. Something is odd with how it's fetching things right now. And this is usually how game development goes. It's like, why the hell is this broken? Oh, I don't know. Because it is. So these are all just these binary animations. I swear it's just having trouble with some basic stuff. Should not be having trouble. It should not be having trouble just syncing down these files like this. Obviously there's something wrong. I guess I should just leave it alone. Well, we'll just try to let it do its thing for a little while. So we need to look at... I'll just minimize it so I don't have to look at it. We want to look at the collision down. And we also want to do our edge, our basic edge, edging out of objects. We need to put a limit on the number of things that we can actually do. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Failed to rename after 10 attempts. Cannot create a file that already exists. So just force get this specific directory. And yeah, it was just having trouble because some random crap in there was not agreeing with it. Alright, so we want our static const f name g physics max stuck nudge iterations. This is not an f name, this is an int32. We're going to say 10. Alright, that's better. So what exactly were you working on? So you got the sprite stuff in there? I was just having trouble with Perforce on my side. I think I had imported a couple files that but I hadn't done anything with Perforce with them, and they were causing me problems because of me. But like, this looks like pretty much. Well, this was 6.11, so I guess that is yesterday. This looks like every sprite for Bitey. And I think you mentioned something about Bitey being 4 meters tall now or something. Yeah, I was also probably gonna talk to you a little bit. I don't know if we need to export everything at such high resolution right now, seeing as like we're taking a long time. It's taking a long time to export everything. We're just gonna be sitting there, and I'm betting we're gonna have to redo everything like quite a few times before the game's finished. I don't know if we need to export everything at maximum resolution yet, just because it's gonna take more time out of our development just to sit there waiting for rendering when we're probably gonna redo stuff later anyway. So I don't know. That was one of my thoughts when I was sitting there rendering last night. I was like, man, this is taking forever because we just have so many frames. Like, because like we got really detailed animations and there's a lot of them. It's like, damn. Alright, so we got this. What we want to look at is, let's take a look at, we hit play. Bitey is the smallest Bitey. Jesus Christ, okay, the movement is just like crazy town. Bitey's like a little ant. Is he supposed to be this small? Or is there something wrong? Because he's the tiniest Bitey ever. So we say what, he's 480 pixels tall and 1.5 meters tall. Like, I think something's wrong here. If this Bitey is gigantic. And the other ones are not. Looks like your sprites didn't come in. Well, let's crack open Bitey and take a look at him real quick. So let's go ahead and export the breathe into our photo booth character so we can take a look at him. Jesus Christ, his idle animation has 122 frames? Holy shit. That's amazing. Yeah, that's a lot of texture memory for a character idle. At that resolution at 2048. That's nuts. So we'll render out just one animation here and see what that looks like. Well, if you change the scene resolution, you're probably going to have to export everything and then change the pixel height of the character because, you know, pixels. I don't have like a size for every single animation or anything like that. But yeah, if you change the scene resolution, it will make it every frame smaller. So theoretically, it should totally work. Yeah, I pretty much would expect we'd want to work at, you know, a lower resolution for now, and then we probably want to, like, you know, do like a real render pass later, right? Like as we get farther along in the game, we'll be like, all right, you know, like we want to render the real production version of Bitey. You know, the one that's going to take 2 million years to render just his beautiful eyelashes. Alright, so let's go take a look at importing just the photo booth character. And so this is an issue. It's like creating new texture. Yeah, so the issue is right now with how the Perforce integration works with Unreal, it doesn't work well for adds and removes. Like, it has to do adds and removes, like, at least it has to do adds in serial, like one after the other, which is just stupid, and there's nothing I can do about that. There's no, like, create multiple assets at once. So pretty much the, like, doing the source control dance is almost necessary on some of these things. But should be like I can just import the photo booth character after this, which does take time. Like, there's no getting around, you know, making a bajillion textures. Like, holy shit, look at that. 21 sprite sheets for this one animation. That's crazy. Alright, yeah, and then basically I can reconnect to source control, check out a whole bunch of stuff. Are you fucking for real? Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm not waiting for that. Alright, so even doing anything like that inside of Unreal, it just does a shit job. I'd assume you'd want at least something to have hand-painted normals, just so we can, verify that, the style and everything is working correctly. Yeah, look at this, is like totally fucked up. Alright, so let's import this and blow away all this crap. Yeah, exactly. Just one of those looking nice is probably all we need. So I'm going to take a look at the directory for the import real quick while this goes. Yeah, so that's how many sprite sheets that this guy actually gets just for that, which is way too many. Like, for one character, one animation, having 21 sprite sheets, that's a lot of information, right? Like, even compressed on disk, how big is it? Yeah, compressed on disk, it's 5.73 megabytes. So uncompressed on the graphics card, it's going to be gigantic. So, unless you want the min specs for the game to be, a NASA supercomputer, gonna have to watch some of these animations. Alright, so what I can basically do here is, if I save all these, it'll just nicely save everything. And then I can just go to the content, characters, and then like the photo booth character, and just right click and do the reconcile offline work. And it'll pop everything else. It'll pop up all the files that are changed, and boom, you're done with that. Then you just reconnect to source control. And then you've got your character imported, and it looks like it updated at least halfway decently. So let's see what this guy looks like. How many of these guys did it add? Holy shit. Oh, I added one of each. One of everything. Alright, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, texture streaming pool over 300 megabytes. Disable all messages. Yeah, so that's what's going on. Is like that's just too many textures going on. It can't load that many at once for a character. So let's see. What exactly does this message mean? Project report and find. Now I get a texture streaming pool. There are a few console commands you can enter where your texture memory is being allocated. Try to bring up the console. Texture streaming. Texture streaming system is part of the engine. So let's see. Yeah, but that's a massive amount of memory for these things. Let's pop open our settings for graphics and see exactly what we can look at. Rendering materials, textures. So we have texture streaming on.